Namaste, everyone. I extend a very warm welcome to this fascinating and engaging workshop conducted by Vidhi Talks, Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana, Chandigarh. My name is Ashutosh Gupta, and I will be moderating today's session. Today, we have come together to engage, learn, and discuss on various topics which could shape this astounding legal profession. Whether you are an experienced advocate or a law student beginning your journey, we welcome everybody. Today's discussion is supposed to provide valuable insights, practical tools, and a deeper understanding on these complexities within the legal field. Today's session is on the topic, can artificial intelligence replace lawyers? This topic becomes more prevalent considering how technology has gained leaps and bounds over the last decade or so. And further, this debate, which has considerably stirred over the course of last few years in itself, whether artificial intelligence can eliminate and replace lawyers completely or not, is a question which needs to be answered so as to ascertain what the future holds for us. For those of you in profession, it is essential to remain updated. And for our law students, this workshop will provide you with a solid foundation of what to expect in your future career. Today, we'll be hearing from distinguished speakers who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience in this particular field, and their insights will help us to understand how to navigate the challenges of this complexity within this legal field. Let me first introduce our first panelist, Ms. Kritika Sethi. Ms. Sethi is a co-founder of Vivad. Vivad is an online dispute resolution institution which has transformed the legal dispute resolution space with its time-bound, cost-effective, and confidential modes of dispute resolution. Through its breakthrough, Vivad has helped various parties with resolving their disputes within 90 days, vis-a-vis the fact it takes years in courtrooms to resolve those disputes. She is a graduate of law from Nalsar University of Law, Hyderabad, and has been previously working in a tier 1 law firm, where she has appeared before various fora in India, including Supreme Court of India, Honorable Bombay High Court, and various other arbitration tribunals. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Our second panelist is Mr. Tanuj Kalia. Mr. Kalia is a founding CEO of Loctopus, a leading 14-year-old online media and educational platform. He's a graduate from NUJS Kolkata in 2013 and wrote the book Law as a Career, published by LexisNexis in 2015. He has also keynoted various fora, including NLUs and TEDx. We welcome you, sir. Our third panelist is Mr. Ajinkya Kudukar. Mr. Kudukar is an advocate who hails from Mumbai. Completed his law and CS in 2011. He since has been practicing corporate laws. He is practicing primarily before NCLT and high courts, along with 7 other lawyers and his team. Apart from corporate laws, he has taken a keen interest in this techno-legal profession and has been speaking on various topics, including AI and law, since 2018 over various forums, including TEDx, IIT, MNLUs, and over 50 other events. He has recently published a research paper on the same topic. Welcome, sir. With this, I would firstly ask my panel members to give an opening remark as to what they think this intersection of AI and law could do. We'll first start with Madam Sethi. Ma'am, please.
Thank you. Thank you firstly for inviting us to this engaging panel discussion. The intersection of AI, artificial intelligence, and dispute resolution has thrown multiple opportunities for lawyers and has made institutional form of dispute resolution accessible for domestic matters and domestic parties. Traditionally, institutional form of arbitration, for example, was usually reserved for matters wherein high stakes were involved. Reason being that the different institutes that were available that would conduct these matters in an institutional manner were their fees was quite high to make it less affordable and less approachable by different domestic matters in India. But online dispute resolution and the use of technology has made institutional form of arbitration, institutional form of mediation more accessible for domestic parties and matters which have lower stake comparatively. And how this has helped is it has helped them in ensuring a more time bound, a more process which they can control, as arbitration and mediation are more party autonomous processes, and they ensure that parties retain full control over the process, and accordingly they feel more empowered in terms of the dispute resolution mechanism that they choose, or in terms of how the process is conducted. And therefore the use of AI, machine learning in different parts of the dispute resolution process has really transformed the options that are available to different parties and made it more accessible and affordable to different parties in India.
Thank you, ma'am. That's very insightful. We'll now ask our second panelist, Mr. Kudugar, to further give an elaboration on how AI and law should have intersected with each other.
So, hello, first of all, thank you so much for having me here on the panel. What Kritika said, I think it's one part of the story. And I think it's the table is spread and there are multiple chairs. She has narrated a story of one chair. I will speak about another chair, which is on the table, where I speak as a practicing advocate and how a practicing advocate should ideally see AI. And in that context, I'll speak about the intersection. Now, we all know that traditionally lawyers always have a lot of juniors and associates. Now, the question is, are those juniors and associates a competition, or are they enabling the advocate to practice better, to perform better in the profession? The answer lies there, and the answer lies in the perspective that we have towards AI. In fact, over the period of the discussion, I'm going to make certain assertions about how AI is an enabler. So because legal practice is a huge landscape in itself, which is why there are multiple stories multiple events that are occurring across the landscape. And in all those stories, in all those events, AI is coming ahead and it's playing the role of an enabler. May it be judiciary, may it be an independent counsel practice, may it be a firm management, may it be research, may it be academics, may it be something what Tanuj or Kritika are doing. They have conceptualized an idea. That idea is about or around law, and they are using AI as a tool to enhance the idea, to enhance the performance of that idea. So this perspective is very important, and the clearing of the air is very important, especially for lawyers, because as I speak to many people, I have noticed that there is a certain reservation about this particular topic. So I think the whole point of this discussion is going to help a lot of people clear that air and have a better perspective towards looking at this particular arena.
Thank you, sir. That was very insightful. Now I'll ask Mr. Kalia to give an opening remark in light of the topic we have before us.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Ashutosh. And thanks a lot to the Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana for having us. Great remarks by Kritika and Ajinkya, and I think Ajinkya hinted at how we can sort of start embracing AI. And I want to touch upon the concept of evolution of any profession and of human beings. I mean, law, if you check the evolution of law, around the 1990s, when the first National Law University was established around 1988-89, people start talking about lawyers, that the fact that lawyers should have a strong grasp over businesses, business acumen to do well in corporate law. And then you had, some of these corporate law firms emerge as well. And then you had, when we were doing law around, 2010, around that time, we were told now lawyers need to understand businesses as well as technology, right? Manu Patra was, of course, already a known name. SEC Online was a known name. So law evolved, lawyers also had to evolve. you not only had to have a good understanding of businesses, you also needed to have a good understanding of internet, and you needed to embrace internet to survive in the legal field. I think now we are at the cusp of a third revolution, a third change, which will be brought by AI. And as Ajinkya was saying, so there can be two ways to approach AI. Either you start fearing it, you ask questions that, hey, are our jobs being taken? Or you embrace it. You embrace it like an assistant, you embrace it like, Ajinkya was saying, like a junior, like you would do to a junior. So we are at the cusp of revolution. The choice is ours. Do we fear AI or do we embrace it? And, to anyone who's listening to this video, I would strongly request, start embracing AI. Because when Charles Darwin, he didn't say survival of the fittest actually. He said survival of the most adaptable. And lawyers, now with technology changing so fast, they have to keep evolving themselves, really quickly
Exactly.
as well. Unfortunately, lawyers, they are always slow to respond to change. We are the most, I would say, the backward profession when it comes to embracing technology. That's not going to work. In case that's going to be our viewpoint, then probably your job is going to be taken by AI. Otherwise, not. Otherwise, the trust that a lawyer brings into their dealings, the exactness a lawyer brings into their dealings, that for now AI can't do. And I would like to assert that AI will not be able to bring these human elements ever. That's my opening remark, Ashutosh.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, considering that we have this underlying theme from all the panelists that we should probably embrace this technology rather than looking at negatively, my primarily issue which arises with the usage of this technology is how ethical it is first, and what about the privacy of my and confidentiality which I have with my clients. How do we go about that? Because considering if my contracts are being uploaded and if it goes to a machine which understands, learns, and then probably will give an output to somebody else, that can take away my confidentiality or privacy per se. How would you will suggest we should negate that, or how AI in itself has found certain resolutions to that?
So if I may take this.
Yes,
So I think it's the most elementary question that pops up. Let's go step by step. So today we are in 2025 January, right? And for us, or for most of the people around us, AI means two things. Either it means a robot who's just, doing something like Terminator or something, or it means ChatGPT. Okay, it's very clear. I mean, for a particular bunch of people, AI is equal to ChatGPT. The next immediate question is, well, very well, I want to embrace AI and I'll start using ChatGPT. The first thing that I do is draft an agreement for sale of a parcel of land in Panvel, for an example. This is the first introduction. This is the first interaction between a lawyer who started to use AI and that bot, right? It suggests that for us, using AI would mean getting certain drafts from the AI, right? This is a very common understanding. The second understanding would be, I key in some names and I ask that bot to draft something for me. And that's where the perception, that's where the fear about privacy, confidentiality starts coming in. And the pro max fear would be when you start uploading documents on ChatGPT and trying to ask ChatGPT to analyze that document, which actually can be done in a very, very sorted manner. But let's just address it like this. So first was you ask ChatGPT to give you a template. Second is you key in some names and you tell ChatGPT to draft something for you. Third is when you upload something, let's say a pleading or let's say a letter or an MOU, and you ask that bot to draft an agreement out of that term sheet. Fair? So this is the concern about privacy can come in the second and the third option. Now let me put to rest this worry, this concern. ChatGPT very comfortably, even the free version of it has settings which will ensure that the documents that you have uploaded, the information that you have uploaded shall not be used in any other circles, which means it would be as safe as keeping your documents in the shelf of your office or on the hard drive of your computer. And further, if you take or if you buy a certain subscription, it's called an enterprise subscription. In that, you are given dedicated spaces where you can store your documents. So to not use AI with the fear of breaching confidentiality or with the fear of exposing the confidential information of your client is a thing of the past. In 2024-25, there is absolutely, and I'm making this statement, that there is absolutely no worry that somebody should carry, at least in terms of maintaining the or securing the confidentiality of the proceedings or of the information. It is as much secure as much as is your locker inside your house or the locker inside your chamber. So yeah, that's my response to it.
Thank you, sir. Sir, that elevates a lot of my concerns personally, because I was always very unsure of how these things function in itself.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to come back to Madam Sethi to ask as how artificial intelligence has helped in this online dispute resolution, and also explain a little bit about how this online dispute resolution works, considering we would have law students watching this video.
Certainly. We have had alternate dispute resolution since a really long time in India. Arbitration as a concept is not new. We have had Arbitration Act of 1940. We have had Arbitration Act of 1996, which is currently governing the realm of arbitration in India. So the concept is not really new. However, parties have not really been in a position wherein they could make the most of it by controlling the whole process. Keeping in mind that the whole fundamental basis of arbitration is party autonomy. And parties have not been able to make the most or derive most benefit out of it. And that's how online dispute resolution has evolved and transformed to ensure that parties retain full control over the process. And this becomes essentially helpful, especially in a process like mediation. Why? Because mediation, again, a concept, a part of ADR, which has been there in India since a long time. Everybody, we've all read in our, school textbooks about how panchayats have helped. What were they doing? They were doing nothing but mediation in its fundamental basis. And in terms of using technology and using the modes of ADR, online dispute resolution has basically used these two together, technology and alternate dispute resolution, and the provisions of law which governs ADR to provide and enable the parties to make the most of this process to ensure three things. First is that it is a time-bound process. One of the concerns that parties, specifically in a commercial dispute, have had is that there is no time value of money that is there in any dispute resolution process that they face. So first thing first that online dispute resolution has tried to provide to the parties is time-bound resolution. Secondly, a cost-effective resolution, so that even smaller claim disputes are able to effectively resolve their disputes in a cost-effective manner. And thirdly, a very confidential mode of dispute resolution. There have been so many situations wherein certain cases, certain disputes are raised before different fora in India, and it does end up, having certain reputational issues for different parties. This as a mechanism provides, or these mechanisms under the whole realm of online dispute resolution, they provide a confidential mode to the parties to ensure that they are able to resolve their dispute without having the other factors that come into play. And this is not to say that online dispute resolution is just restricted to these modes. In fact, the Niti Aayog report on online dispute resolution mentioned about how online dispute resolution covers the whole realm of dispute resolution and the use of technology in each process, which is not just restricted to ADR. However, how online dispute resolutions currently help parties is through use of technology or leveraging technology, including artificial intelligence and machine learning, to provide a more party-controlled and party-autonomous mode of ADR-based dispute resolution to the parties.
Thank you, ma'am. That was enriching. Now I would like to come back to Mr. Kalia. Sir has been in a legal education since so long. Sir, as a law student, how should AI will come to my aid as and when I require it, considering there are certain propositions which are inherently given wrong answers by the AI itself, is my
Yeah.
experience in itself. As a law student, how should I, as and when should I rely upon AI, and as and when I shouldn't rely on AI completely and blindly?
Right. So unfortunately, law students are misusing AI blatantly. Uh, Currently, we are hiring at Loctopus. So many applications have AI generated answers. And I, because I am involved with content for a very long time, I can spot AI generated response versus, and I think it's fairly easy to do that from a mile. Okay. Unfortunately, many law students, many young lawyers too, are misusing AI. My request is please don't. In case you lose your ability to write, or in case you are not going to invest in your ability to write, you will never be a good lawyer. Okay. I think there are strong advantages and strong uses of AI. I'll give you a small example which I experimented with myself. I saw on Instagram there was a prompt that you ask AI that based on my chat history with you, tell me something about my personality. Tell me something which I don't know about my personality. Okay. This is something which, psychological assessments like DISC, I think it's called the DISC report, these sort of psychological assessments will do. I was shocked at the accuracy of what AI could predict about my personality based on my chat history with ChatGPT. Then I thought maybe ChatGPT is trying to play the astrologer with me, giving me nice responses. Let me try to do it. So I tried to do it with my wife and with my sister-in-law. AI gave me very good responses. Now, why I'm giving this example? I find lack of coaching, personal coaching, career counseling across law schools in India. And this doesn't happen only in colleges, it happens in schools, and it happens not only in law schools but in other universities as well. There is a severe dearth of counseling and coaching in India. Okay. I think there is a strong potential of using ChatGPT for your personal coaching, both from a psychological point of view and even from a skill point of view. So for example, if I am interviewing with a big law firm, I am interviewing, let's assume, for their mergers and acquisitions team, there is a strong potential and possibility in using platforms like ChatGPT to help me prepare for an interview and prepare it very rigorously. Okay. So I think there are good uses of AI. One use case which I can find is in coaching and in review. I also saw, and we've been using it at Loctopus, use in online media. So for those of you who are unaware, I want to tell you what sort of content we publish on Loctopus. So largely these are events and opportunities. So for example, conferences, call for papers, internships. And what my content team does is the colleges or the event organizers will send us a brochure of, let's say, a conference or a workshop. My content team will basically summarize it in a certain format that we have at Loctopus. So it's very organized information, which AI models love. Okay. We did this around, I think, 8 to 9 months back. We trained an AI model to start drafting posts which are in Loctopus's format after we upload a brochure or a URL into the platform. I was not sure how the results will be. I'm usually, though, I'm telling everyone to be technologically, embracing technology. I'm usually the one nowadays who's technologically averse. Some of my younger team members, they are embracing it much better. So they told me, Tanuj, let's go ahead with it. The AI was 80% accurate. And I thought that 80% of the work which my content team was doing, AI could do it. Yes, it still required a review, but that is what my content team could now do. So the level of the work or the type of the work they did was higher, right? But still, we are not using that because again, Google, and this is a technical thing which I'm using here. Google said that it might start penalizing AI generated content for SEO related purposes. SEO is search engine optimization. So it might not show our articles on Google if you're using it. Surprisingly, I think 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, Google also started showing AI generated or AI snippets as the first results for most search terms. So I'm confused. I think Google is also confused. Google sees AI and ChatGPT as threat. Google itself, of course, is at the forefront of the AI movement. But some of these, see, AI has interesting use cases, far-reaching use cases. But for God's sake, law students, young lawyers, please don't start. I mean, the question here is, will AI replace lawyers? And I think what some of the law students are saying is, hey, please replace us. Let us not do our work. Let us be lazy and, please fill our job form for us, So please avoid that. I'm repeating what I said earlier. In case you're going to outsource your writing to AI, you will not be a good knowledge professional. Let me actually broaden the term. Not only will you not be a good lawyer, but you will not become a good knowledge professional if you outsource your writing to AI.
That's very well said, sir. I'd like to come back to Mr. Puduga to ask, since he's been a corporate lawyer, how AI has helped in document review and legal search, and interestingly, how these aspects have evolved over the course of past few decades, how our Google searches optimization and India Kanun and ChatGPT has helped in legal research, and how language in itself can be utilized to ensure better and quicker results.
Well, see, honestly, I am so much in favor of using or adopting the technology, so much so that I think almost everything apart from the strategizing and the argumentation and the reviewing and the fine tuning, apart from those aspects of legal practice, everything else, you either can get it done using AI, or you can get that thing done in a better manner by initially using the AI and then having a human resource work on that. So it can be the preliminary source of execution, or it may be a secondary source of execution depending on what you are looking at, right? So I'll give some real life examples, very, very relatable examples. So this is for all the people who are into counsel practice or arguing counsels, right? There's something called list of dates and events that we offer, right? It's a typical practice in the High Court, NCLT, and in fact, it's a very good practice, right? It reduces the burden and the time that the bench spends on a matter. So it's a typical 1 or 2 page hand note that you offer. Every matter that you are arguing, you're going to spend, or you or your team is going to spend at least 35 to 40 minutes, probably 1 hour in preparing that LOD. It's a very, very normal process. Now, how you can leverage this power or this tool, AI tool? There are multiple tools. ChatGPT is not the only one in the room. But let's, for the sake of convenience, let's address ChatGPT as the one because it's quite popular. You have the pleadings scanned with you. So in the initial statement that I made, I have very comfortably established. In fact, on one of the occasions, I can also demonstrate how it can be done, how to lock the privacy concerns for using the ChatGPT. What you do is, there are some pleadings that you have, right? You use ChatGPT, you upload it, you use ChatGPT to draft the list of dates and events for you. What it does is, it essentially goes through the main parts of the proceeding, right? Main parts of the draft, and you put in the command that make it in tabular form. I want 4 columns: serial number, particulars, the date, and the exhibit number and page, or exhibit and page number. Typically, these are the 4 columns that are relevant when you're opening at the admission stage of any matter, correct? You key in the prompt, you lift your cup of coffee, and till the time you put it down on the desk, your LOD is ready. As Tanuj has mentioned, he spoke of about 80 to 85% accuracy. I believe, at least in my experience, it has been more than 95% of accuracy. Why? I'll tell you. ChatGPT or any AI bot, for that matter, is like a small kid that you're grooming. It starts working, it starts functioning the way you groom it, the way you, in this language, it is called training. The way you train it, it starts developing its intelligence. And that's the best part of an AI bot. In fact, once you have made up a decision that you want to start unleashing the power of AI, one should in fact start spending at least 15-20 minutes to train that bot for the first 8 to 10 days. So much so that the results that were being delivered, a month ago or before 10 days prior and 10 days after the training, you will see there's a remarkable difference in the quality of the output, right? So it helps you in litigation. Now, second example, I'll take 2 or 3 small examples. Second example is so there are judgments, right? As a litigating lawyer, you will be citing judgments, about 10-12 judgments, 3-4 matters, you're citing 10-12 judgments every single day. Now, what does an arguing counsel need in a judgment? I know traditionally we are told ki pura judgment padho, you should spend time and everything, but that is impractical. Judgments running into 50, 100, 200, 300 pages, it's not practical. How much ever idealistic it may sound, it's not practical. And there are certain aspects, certain parts of the judgment which are relevant. I should be spending time only studying those parts. Instead of wasting time running through the paragraphs, you tell the AI, you download the relevant judgments from SCC, from the head notes, you upload it on the portal, on the bot, and you tell the bot, please, I am for this. The proposition that I'm looking for is this. Tell me the relevant paragraphs number, this. The petitioner's counsel or the respondent's counsel, have they relied on any judgments? If yes, tell me the judgments. If those judgments have been negated by the other side, tell me those judgments. And what is the dictum, what is the ratio, and relevant paragraphs. Again, you pick up the cup of coffee, till the time you place it back on the desk, all these points are with you. Now, every day, if you're relying on 5, 7, 10 judgments, this exercise will not take more than 2 or 3 minutes of your daytime. Before the court starts, you have the summary, you have the facts, you have the ratio, you have the relevant connected judgments. And even if there has been a change in the legal position, you can ask that question as well. Now, this is the second aspect. First was the list of, these are practical examples of how one can enhance the practice. Third, very interesting part of litigation is the fee or the office management part. I'll not get into the team tasks and everything, but fee management is a very typical and a classic issue pain point that all lawyers face, right? Especially if you're in a counsel briefing, because your fees is based on appearance. And if you're doing 10, 12 appearance every day, you have to keep and you have to maintain a particular momentum in terms of charging, in terms of follow-ups. Now, there are AI bots especially trained to do this. The follow-ups also, guys, they send the follow-up mails, the tone of the follow-up mails can also be trained. First is a gentle reminder, second is a reminder, third is urgent attention, fourth is probably I won't appear on the next date unless the fee is settled. Jokes apart. But the tone of these reminders can also be trained. The bot can be trained on these lines also. So if you want to understand, see, I'm not talking in the typical accounting perspective. If you want to understand which kind of practice is more billable to you, or which kind of practice is more exciting to you in terms of your fees, you can find that you can put AI to use, and you can find that in a moment of seconds, in a manner of seconds. So three aspects, I think these are very, very practical aspects, ground level aspects that I have tried to touch upon. I took a little longer, but these are the pain points, or these are the actual ground level issues that practicing lawyers face. And this is how AI can be of use to practicing lawyers as well.
Thank you, sir. That was an eye-opening answer for me, at least. I'm sure it will resonate with every other practicing lawyer who'll watch this video.
Yeah.
In this regard, if there is any other practical tip which could be included by any other panelist, I welcome those suggestions as well.
I'll go ahead. So Kritika, you wanna say something?
You finish your thought,
Okay.
then I'll share
Okay.
mine.
Sure. So I'll give a non-legal example, but it applies to any legal subject as well. So ChatGPT allows you to create sort of your own ChatGPT. You can call it whatever. You can call it, let's say I had a friend who had called it XYZ mediation, and he had made a mediation bot. So currently I'm reading up on a philosophy, and I thought let's make some philosophical use out of ChatGPT. Okay. Now there were 13 books which I fed into ChatGPT to make my own ChatGPT bot. Now what this GPT is doing is it is relying on information that is fed through these 13, 14 books, through these 13, 14 texts which I have fed to ChatGPT. Now you can of course do it for any field of law as well. So for example, you can upload the Indian Contract Act, you can upload let's say 12 leading cases, you can upload the recent judgments, and for now I think the free version of ChatGPT allows for 20 such texts, but of course you can merge PDFs, and ChatGPT won't shy away from reading 10,000 pages, right? So you can do that.
Yeah.
And I asked questions which were very technical. Now, this philosophy, which I am studying, is very much like law in the fact that it is very exact about the definition of the words which it is using. Some of the questions AI gave such brilliant responses that I thought someone who had studied this philosophy for 10 years would not have been able to give me such a precise, accurate, and, to be honest, enlightening response. Okay. But difficulties emerge soon. And I think these difficulties or these challenges, something which lawyers, of course, should keep in mind, is when the AI starts to hallucinate. Now, I saw a real and live example of what hallucination actually means. So hallucination means these are responses which will look like accurate responses. They will look like responses which are coming out of this philosophy only, or it is coming out of, let's say, the Indian Contract Act and the recent case laws and the landmark judgments. But it is not. AI is generating responses on its own, and for someone who has knowledge, let's say of philosophy in my case, or in a lawyer's case, let's say the Indian Contract Act, you'll be able to make out, oh no, AI is hallucinating. These are not accurate responses, right? And lawyers, I mean, they hold accuracy to be a fundamental value, right? Now see, experienced lawyers might be able to catch these hallucinations easily, but maybe a law student will not be able to do that, or a young lawyer. You've had cases where AI has given citations which lawyers have cited and the case does not exist, right? So hallucination is real. It's currently maybe I think for surely AI models will evolve to, lessen the impact of hallucinations. But law students, young lawyers, they should keep in mind of being aware of hallucinating AI models.
In addition to this, actually, when you're talking about how AI is hallucinating, AI in terms of dispute resolution has really helped lawyers. And I'll give you a very layman example to explain how it has. in terms of different parts of the whole process, wherein a lawyer ends up representing a client, a part of that is legal application of mind, wherein you're trying to analyze judgments, how Ajinkya was referring to, drafting your LOD and, your list of dates, your synopsis and everything. There is also non-legal side to, different aspects like service, which is like, ensuring that there is complete service in a matter, so that, ample opportunity is given to the opposite side to participate in the case, to, be heard, the principles of natural justice, etc. That part of, or those non-legal parts have been immensely contributed towards specifically by the use of technology in different parts of the process. Now, how when different high courts and different courts are using e-filing, that's what they're relying upon to ensure that every information is fed into the system, so that you're using technology to ensure that there is faster e-filing, to ensure that all those non-legal parts are taken care of, your services are taken care of, your scheduling of hearings are taken care of. In addition to that, even in terms of negotiation, AI or machine learning, for that matter, has really immensely helped parties when they're trying to negotiate and settle the matter. Like how today, if say Ashutosh and I we have a dispute, of course, in our minds we'll have, this is going to be a best case scenario. That there's a commercial dispute between the two of us. I had provided, say, certain services to Ashutosh for, say, 10,000 rupees, but I'm aware that, the quality was not what I had promised. And I can see that, there is some disconnect in relation to the satisfaction for the service or the product that I had supplied. So while I'm aware, I also want that, because I invested my time into it, I also have my best case scenario wherein, okay, if I get 10,000, best case scenario for me. If I don't, I'm also happy to say settle it at 7,000. Where on the other side, Ashutosh, he's so discontent and he's so dissatisfied with the service that he's like, no, 10,000 is definitely not worth it. How AI is helping is that every party, when they have their best case scenario, every party has their last, worst case scenario, wherein this is going to be the last option at which I'm going to settle. AI is actually helping parties to come to a settlement, to come to a middle ground and propose to both the parties that this is what the first party had fed into the system, that this is going to be their best case, this is going to be their last option to settle. And similarly from the opposite side, and see if there is any scope to match it between the two parties. And that's where it has immensely helped parties, because keeping aside the whole human element to any dispute, if practically both parties wish to settle the matter, AI has really aided or furthered the cause of settlement in that dispute. So to that extent, yes, AI and use of technology in different parts of the process has really helped lawyers to stand out for their clients when they're proposing that, why don't we try this option or try this new option, which can help you in settling in a much faster mechanism, and also ensure that, their time is saved so that they are able to focus on other legal aspects of the matter.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, considering this has been established that this technology should be leveraged and utilized primarily by everybody around us to reach to a certain level of assistance from the technology. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, which I am actually was reading about, and I'm sure a lot of other people would have similar queries, would be that if at all we continue this reliance on this sort of machine learning and artificial intelligence, will at some point, not today, not tomorrow, say in a decade or so, will that completely replace us or not? I saw certain Nobel laureates also arguing amongst themselves as to ensure that why we need to study thoroughly, that we continue to remain our bosses and not the machine learning in itself, and the other way around. We need to work out both the sides. What's your opinion on this, and how we see this this forum of technology over the course of next few decades?
Well, see, I think it reminds me of a very nice statement by this guy called Eric Brylofson or something. I forgot his second name, but he is a director at Stanford. They are a think tank, So he made a very interesting statement that stayed with me. He said, lawyers won't be replaced by AI, but lawyers who use AI, or rather who know how to use AI, would be replacing lawyers who do not know how to use AI. Now, this is I know it's a little dramatic statement, but at the heart of this discussion is a fear, if I may so use that word, and a complex that if somebody else becomes more efficient, intelligent, result oriented than me, then will I be sidelined, and will that thing or person or being take the prominence? Now, there have been umpteen such waves of threats to multiple professions in the past. And because we are talking especially about lawyers and the legal fraternity, there have been certain threats, multiple threats in fact, in the recent times. And in the past 20, 30, 40 years, predominantly those threats were owing to technology or arising out of technological advancements. But at no given point in time did those technological advancements or enhancements replace the profession. It replaced certain activities that we were involved in, and it got replaced because we knew that doing those activities was nothing but consumption of our time. Something as basic as a calculator, something as basic as an email, something as basic as storing of Word documents on our hard disk. Now, it's a very elementary comparison that I'm establishing, I understand. But the perspective here is something that needs to be highlighted. We need to understand that if these things did not replace us or our professions, it only enhanced us and put us in a position where we were doing things that were challenging our intelligence, such and so that the mundane tasks were being managed by some other technology, by some other process. There is no difference between this example and adoption of AI, because a human brain or a human active set of activities that we do today are being done by two things. One is our body and second is our mind, right? Somebody who is sitting in front of me, who is my client, who is my potential client, he is looking at me and expecting some solution from me because that person believes in my ability. As ABC person, he or she believes in my ability to be able to solve his or her problem. This connect, till the time humans are alive on the planet, this connect can never be replaced between a machine and a human being. Currently, I'm reading a very interesting book by Yuval Noah Harari. He released that book in November 2024, I think. It's called Nexus. Deals with similar topics. There has been immense evolution till date, so much so that we cannot even imagine that this kind of evolution would have happened. But that has not replaced two individuals who want to interact with each other. The modes of interaction they have undergone change, but the concept of interaction still is inter vivos between two individuals. So I am, in that sense, I do not see that as a threat at all. It only is a matter of being more informed about how to use it. And the day when you are convinced, you know how to control it, how you know how to use it, is the day when you stop thinking that it's a threat at all.
Thank you, sir. Now I would come back to Mr. Kalia. What's your opinion on this, sir? What do you think? Do you agree with him, or you think in future, in decades to come, it might significantly change?
See, I think I loved when Ajinkya earlier had said that I think as a lawyer, there are only three tasks which, he'll be required to do. Most other tasks can be, done by AI. It actually sort of validates what I was, before coming to this talk, I was doing some research as well. There's a Goldman Sachs report which says 41% of legal tasks can be automated by AI. And I think given Ajinkya's and Kritika's experience, I think they got it right. They got the percentage right. See, AI, of course, is not going to replace lawyers. But I also want to touch upon why this fear is coming. What is in the nature of the technology that such fears are coming, right? When you had internet, and of course, platforms like Manupatra, SCC, they revolutionized legal research. They revolutionized a lot of things. The difference there was an input by a human, and then there was a response by the technology. Right? Now AI is different. This is generative AI. This means that the response which it generates and the input which you feed, based on your input, multiple responses can be generated later on as well. The AI can learn on its own, right? That is why it is intelligent. This sort of a technology was never came into picture, and that's why the fear exists, because of the nature of the technology. Now, my fear is that, again, for the legal profession and for the knowledge profession, is something which is happening with social media. Now, social media has completely overtaken or subsumed our needs for recognition, for friendship, for acknowledgement, right? It's a very worrying trend amongst our generation and the generation which is coming up. I mean, the worrying trends are even more worrisome, right? Australia has banned, I think, social media for people up to the ages of 16. Some states in America are thinking of doing the same thing. My worry is that with AI, will our intellectual curiosity, will our intellectual rigor, which boils down to things like reading, researching, writing, three things which I think are critical to any lawyer, not only litigators or corporate lawyers, but nearly all lawyers. Is AI sort of going to subsume that intellectual rigor and curiosity? That for me is worrying, because if I know that AI can generate nearly equal or probably even better responses, am I going to become lazy and outsource it completely? And philosophically, fundamentally, I think it presents very interesting human related challenges as well. It will tell us, what it means to be a human being. Are we fundamentally a lazy species, which can now, as I'm saying, outsource our rigor and curiosity to AI? Or are we people who are up to something in their lives? If yes, then we are always going to use AI as a servant. AI can, further our understanding, not only of law, but of many other fields. So I think I understand where the fears are coming from, because of the nature of the technology. My fear is also because what we are seeing happening with social media. I don't want AI to be doing that. But will AI replace lawyers? I think my clear answer is no. It is going to replace some of our tasks. It is going to help us in some of the tasks. Fundamentally, the trust, the authority, the gravitas which a lawyer brings, AI will never be able to do that.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would circle back to Madam Sethi for her response on the same. What she thinks future holds for AI and lawyers per se, and can there be complete replacement of lawyers per se? I think the two panelists have agreed that we have a bright future ahead, at least for the next few decades. I would like your opinion on the same, ma'am.
Sure. As a lawyer myself, I believe that AI will definitely have its pros and cons, but replacing lawyers completely, I feel, is a far-fetched proposition. Reason being that AI is enabling you to be a more efficient lawyer. It's enabling you to be a far better lawyer, but it's not in a situation where, AI can completely replace lawyers. Okay, fine, now I don't need to go to my lawyer. I can solely rely on the advice that is given by AI to me. Certainly not, but at the same time, I feel it's important for lawyers and law students to understand AI, to understand it to a point where you can use it to improvise, to effectively and efficiently perform your functions. I believe that when we are able to ensure that, we will be able to make the most of it and, put ourselves in a better stead compared to, you know, getting worried about whether they are going to replace us or no, or is it just a matter of time? Of course not. I mean, when you are learning, we learn with each case that we handle, we learn with each case that we conduct. Of course, that human learning is something that's going to definitely put us in a better stead as compared to AI. But having said that, the two go hand in hand. If you make the most of it, of course, it's going to help you in delivering a much better product. It's going to help you become a much better lawyer also, for that matter. And similarly for dispute resolution process as well, it's definitely helped in ensuring that there is a more effective and an efficient resolution to the party so that litigants gain the most out of it.
Thank you so much. I think we have now come to an conclusion that everybody should at least first try the
Yes.
technology, leverage it later,
Yes.
and not be worried that they'll be replaced themselves at some point. With this, I would like to thank all the panelists for their invaluable time from their busy schedule for this enriching session. I would also like to thank Bar Council of Punjab and Haryana for organizing this particular workshop and bringing together such a distinguished group of legal professionals. Thank you once again for your participation. We look forward to seeing you in for future events and workshops. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Ashutosh. Thank you.
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you. But just one word of caution here, that whatever we have expressed here are all personal opinions.
Awesome.
I'll take that rider as well.